Hey everybody, I am about to make a recipe out of my first cookbook. It's a dessert called Texas Sheet Cake. I don't think I've filmed this one yet, so we're going to do that today. So let's get started. Texas Sheet Cake. We are going to start by putting 2 eggs in my mixer over here. We're going to cream together, the sugar and the eggs like always. So let's get them in there. And this one calls for 1 cup of brown sugar. Put that in. And 1 cup of white sugar. Put that in. We're going to blend that up. While that is blended, I'm going to go ahead and make a 1/2 cup of buttermilk by putting 1 tablespoon of vinegar into a cup of regular white milk. Stir that up, and I'm going to let that sit for just a minute and let that kind of turn into a little bit of sourness, sort of resembles buttermilk. All right, let's go here. 2 cups of all-purpose flour is going in a separate. We're going to put all our dry ingredients right here. And I am using White Lily flour today, so when you use White Lily, you have to put in 2 extra tablespoons for every cup. So I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of flour. 2, 3, 4. 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And then we're going to do 4 tablespoons of Hershey cocoa. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now this will be our dry ingredients. We're going to mix this up and just set it to the side. Our sugar mixture is in here with our sugar and our eggs, so we're going to add the flour mixture right into that and give that a mix. Next, I'm going to take a stick of butter and put it in a saucepan. We are going to melt this along with some oil. All right, 1 stick of butter in here, a 1/2 cup of oil, and I got this really full, but it made it. And 1 cup of water. All that is going to go in, and we are going to heat this on the stove until the butter is melted. All right, our butter is melted, so we are going to pour all of this right into the mixer. We're going to mix that up. And then the last thing to add will be our buttermilk. Once we get that good and mixed up, your batter will be very thin, and we are going to pour it into this cookie sheet. This is like 11 by 15 cookie sheet with the lip around it. And mine is well seasoned. This is a stone. It's well seasoned, so I don't have to spray it or anything. All right, we're going to let that mix just for a second, and then we're going to add our buttermilk mixture. That will be the last thing that goes in. We're going to bake it at 350 degrees for 30 minutes. Okay, the last thing to go in is our 1/2 cup of buttermilk. And y'all can see how that buttermilk was already curling up a little bit. All right, we're going to give that a little mix, and then I'm going to pour it right into here. Okay, time to pour into your cookie sheet. The batter is very thin, you can see. And that's exactly how it's supposed to be. Just get all the goodness out of your bowl. Alright, and I always like to go kind of like this. I always do that. It brings the air bubbles up when you're doing a cake. And you can see when you go like that, you can see the little air bubbles float to the top. So I do that a few times and I'm going to put it in the oven. 350 for 30 minutes. Alright, while the cake's in the oven, we're going to go ahead and start on the frosting. We need 6 tablespoons of melted butter, so I'm going to put this up in my microwave and melt that. We're going to put that in. We're going to put in a half a cup of cocoa, and I'm just going to put all of this into my mixer here. We're going to need 1 box of powdered sugar, and that equals about 4 cups. So I'm going to go ahead and put that down in there. We're going to need a 1/4 cup, 1/4 cup of milk. Let's put that in. We're going to need 1½ teaspoons of vanilla. Here's 1, and here's a half. All right, and then we're going to add the nuts here in a minute. We're going to put pecans in this. So I think this is about, well, it's not all the way melted. Let this melt just a few more seconds. All right, 6 tablespoons of melted butter. We're going to pour that into here. Ooh, little cup is hot because it just come out of the microwave. All right, we're going to lower this down and go ahead and put it on mix. And we're going to let this mix up, and then I'll come back and show it to you. All right, we're going to go ahead and add 1 cup of chopped pecans. Now, if this is a little bit too thick, you can add a few more drops of milk a little bit at a time, because you want it to be nice and fluffy but not too thin, because we are going to pour this actually onto the cake while it's still warm. So don't worry about if it's too thick, it will thin out. Okay, it just came out of the oven. We've got our frosting here, and it's pretty thick, but like I said, you're supposed to spread this onto the hot cake. So you want it, you don't want it too thin, because this hot cake is going to melt this, and then you will be able to spread it. So I like to just disperse it onto here like this, and you will be able to spread this really good in just a minute or two as that hot cake melts that frosting. And once it sets back up, then I will go ahead and cut this into squares and put it in a airtight container, and we'll be good to go. All right, let's see if it's spreadable already. I said as it heats up, it will spread. I like to just set it on this hot pan. Let it sit here for a minute, and I'm just spreading it just a little bit just to kind of get it down there on that hot cake, and then it's going to spread, and it's going to look like a whipped frosting. It'll be like shiny. But it's so good. If you've never had a Texas sheet cake, it is so good. All right, I'm gonna just keep spreading this. All right, here's the finished product. Don't that look good? All right, it's still warm, but I went ahead and brought a little corner piece out so you can see what it looks like. And I can taste what it tastes like. I have not had this for quite some time, but I love it. It is so good.